The greatest of Loki's lies was not told with his tongue, but with his flesh. To save the gods from their own folly, he became the mother of monsters and the sire of salvation. This is the tale of the day the trickster gave birth. In the halls of Asgard, where the golden roofs gleam under the eternal light of the heavens, the air hung heavy as a storm cloud over the fjords. The gods paced like wolves in a cage, their faces etched with the lines of dread. The great wall that was to gird their realm against the giants stood only half raised, its stones piled unevenly like the bones of fallen foes. The builder, a hulking Jotun disguised as a wandering mason, had wrought this marvel with unearthly speed, but not by his hands alone. His stallion, Svaðilfari, a beast forged in the fires of Muspelheim's edge, hauled boulders the size of longships as if they were mere pebbles. Sweat and musk rolled from the horse's flanks, thick as the fog that shrouds the Norn's well, filling the air with the raw power of untamed earth. The bargain had been struck in haste, when the gods feared the frost giants' endless raids. The builder demanded a price beyond reckoning: the sun to warm his cold halls, the moon to light his feasts, and Freyja herself, the fairest of the Vanir, to grace his bed. The gods, bound by oaths sworn on Gungnir's point, could not break their word without unraveling the threads of fate. Dawn approached like a thief, and with it the builder's victory. Odin, the All-Father, sat upon his high seat Hlidskjalf, his one eye shadowed like the depths of Ginnungagap. Grim fate whispered in his ear, for to lose the lights of the sky would plunge the 9 worlds into endless night, and to yield Freyja would sow discord among the Aesir forever. Fingers pointed like spears toward Loki, the sly one, the shapeshifter whose tongue had woven the deal. "It was your counsel that led us here, Firehair," thundered Thor, his hammer Mjolnir gripped tight in knuckles white as Ymir's frost. "You promised the wall without cost, yet now we teeter on ruin's edge. The Aesir's threats cut sharper than the blades of the dwarves, their voices echoing off the unfinished ramparts." Loki's form shimmered, as if the very air around him twisted with his unease. His skin itched like a serpent shedding its scales, yearning for change. He gazed upon Svaðilfari, the stallion whose muscles rippled like the waves of the great sea, dragging a mountain of stone with each stride. No weapon could fell such a creature, no chain bind it. But in Loki's mind, ever a cauldron of cunning, a plan bubbled forth, not of steel or sorcery, but of distraction, wild and unforeseen. As twilight bled into the veil between worlds, Loki slipped away to a grove at the rim of Asgard, where ancient pines stood sentinel like the pillars of Bifrost. There, in the hush where the wind whispered secrets of the elder days, his body flowed and melted like wax before a flame, bones lengthened and reshaped, skin stretched into a sleek, chestnut hide that gleamed under the fading stars. His fiery locks became a long, dark mane whipping in the breeze, and from his throat escaped a high, alluring whinny that pierced the night like a Valkyrie's call. The scent of a fertile mare bloomed in the air, sweet as hay mingled with the sharp tang of pine needles, a lure no beast could resist. Svaðilfari's great head snapped up from his toil, nostrils flaring to catch that intoxicating musk. His eyes, wild as the storms of Jotunheim, fixed on the distant grove. With a mighty snort, he strained against his harness, the leather creaking like thunder over the mountains. The builder bellowed curses, his whip cracking like lightning, but the stallion's blood surged with primal fire. The harness buckled and snapped with a sharp crunch, straps flying like broken oaths. Hooves pounded the frost-crusted earth, crunching through the icy crust in a rhythm that shook the ground. He bolted from the wall, stones tumbling in his wake, his master's shouts fading into echoes as he plunged into the woods. The chase began, a whirlwind of pursuit through tangled undergrowth and shadowed valleys. For 3 days and 3 nights, the forest rang with the stallion's thundering gallop and the mare's teasing whinnies, echoing off ancient oaks like the laughter of the gods themselves. Branches snapped under hooves, leaves swirled in their frenzy, and in hidden clearings, the sounds shifted from chase to a deeper labor, the earth's own rhythm of creation and chaos. The builder, bereft of his steed, faltered. His hands, mighty as they were, could not match the stallion's strength. The wall remained unfinished as dawn's first light touched the horizon. In rage, he shed his disguise, revealing his Jotun form, towering and terrible. But Thor, the Thunderer, descended with Mjolnir's wrath, shattering the giant's skull like a cracked helm. The crisis passed like a storm cleared by the winds of Vanaheim. Asgard stood secure, the sun and moon safe in their eternal dance, Freyja untouched by foul hands. Yet Loki vanished into the wilds, swallowed by the mists that cloak the borders of the worlds. Seasons turned. The leaves of Yggdrasil browned and fell, snow blanketed the realms, and spring's thaw brought new life. The gods whispered of his fate, wondering if the trickster had met his end in some forgotten corner of the 9 worlds. When Loki returned, it was under a sky heavy with the promise of rain. He strode into Gladsheim, the hall of the gods, thinner than before. His steps weighted with a weariness that spoke of trials unspoken. His eyes, sharp as ever, held a new gravity, like the depths of the well of Mimir. He spoke not of his wanderings, nor of the grove where his form had twisted fate's weave. But he came not alone. At his side stumbled a foal, newborn and strange, its coat gray as storm clouds, its eyes bright with the spark of otherworldly fire. This was no ordinary offspring, born of the union in the wild woods. The foal's legs numbered 8, sturdy pillars that promised speed to outrun the winds of the 8 directions. It tottered on those impossible limbs, the stumbling steps echoing softly on the stone floor of Gladsheim like the first patter of rain on a shield. The gods gathered, their murmurs a low rumble, eyes wide at the sight of such a marvel. Loki's face was a woven tapestry, pride in the cunning that had birthed this wonder, shame in the necessary chaos that demanded such a sacrifice, and defiance like the unyielding roots of the world tree. He had endured isolation in hidden glens, his body swelling with the burden of creation, far from the halls of kin. Days blurred into moons as the life within stirred, a transformation that wrung his form like a forge's heat bends iron. The birth came in solitude, under the canopy of whispering leaves, a labor of pain and power that echoed the throes of the world's making. Now the foal nuzzled against his side, its rough tongue rasping like sand on skin, seeking warmth and milk in the aftermath of that profound change. Odin stepped forward, his ravens hug in and Munin perched silent on his shoulders. His single eye, unreadable as the runes carved on ancient stones, fixed upon the creature. He saw not monstrosity, but potential woven by fate's own hand, a steed to carry him across the rainbow bridge, through the skies, and even to the shadowed gates of hell. Without a word, he extended his hand, claiming the foal as his own. Sleipnir, he named it, the slippery one, swift as thought itself. The threads of fate are woven with actions both glorious and grotesque. Loki's greatest lie was written not in words, but in the very transformation of his flesh, a deception that saved the gods and birthed a legend. If these deep dives into the paradoxes of myth are your kind of saga, then help this channel navigate the 9 worlds of YouTube. Subscribing to DarkTruth TV and ringing the notification bell is the only way to ensure you catch our next voyage into the shadows of history. But the mead hall of conversation is now open. I want to hear your take. Was Loki a savior or a monster in this tale? Does the ends justify the means when the fate of the world is at stake? Let the debate begin in the comments. The hall fell silent, not with judgment's chill, but with aw's warm breath. The impossible geometry of those 8 legs gleamed in the firelight, a bridge between chaos and order. Loki's exhausted defiance met Odin's gaze, and in that moment, the trickster's bizarre sacrifice was validated, a thread in the tapestry of destiny that bound the gods tighter. And so the All-Father rides across the sky and to the land of the dead on a steed born from the greatest deception. For the Norse, even the lies that birth monsters can sometimes carry the gods to glory.